I'm curious about like what your solution would be to this. And some of this is probably because I just don't understand Google Docs to the best of its ability anyway. But I have 5 different email addresses with different organizations and like work and personal, which so many people I'm sure do. And I like keeping it all separate rather than like funneling it all into one specific email, because it helps me, like if I'm working on Climate Coalition, like just go there, work on that thing. So it helps me like stay in the lane of what I need to be doing. But when people share Google Docs with me, I later cannot find them. And when I create Google Docs, I later cannot find them. And so I think my idea of what's happening is like, I'm logged into all my emails at the same time. I have like a page that has 5 tabs of Gmail, which is maybe ineffective. I don't know. So maybe there's something I could do differently there. But I think sometimes I just like hit the button, like create a Google Doc. I share it with a couple people, but then later I'm like, where is that list of all those contacts or whatever? And I'm searching in Google Docs. But maybe I'm only in my Climate Coalition one and not my whatever else. But is there a solution that I don't know of or something that you'd recommend?
Well, there's 2 main things to look at when you're in that situation. One is the icon at the top right corner, which has your initials usually, which is how you switch back and forth between your different accounts, right? You're familiar with that area?
Yep.
That's going to, of course, tell you which account you're in and which Google Drive you're looking at. And that's the first thing, is you want to make sure you're in the right account to actually find what you're looking for. But oftentimes, and you mentioned that some of the times it's when you create a document yourself, and sometimes it's when someone shares a document with you.
And I think like I have a Google Doc open right now, and like 5 minutes ago I was in that Google Doc and I just opened another one right from that, and I couldn't tell you which account it was linked to, right? But and sometimes you can't even tell which account it was shared with, except by which email you were looking at when you saw the thing, right? So you kind of have to, okay, so there's when that happens, when you get something shared with you, the crucial thing to remember there is the shared with me section of Google Drive. Are you familiar with that? Because that's probably the key here. Anytime something is shared with you so any particular email address, so let's say your Gmail, and a document is shared with your Gmail, it is going to first be in that email. And when you click on that email, you'll get the document. But later, you can go back to the email, but how do you find it? It's not going to be in your Google Drive. It's going to be in the shared with me section only. And so the key is when you get a document that's important to keep track of, that you there's 2 ways to do it. You can either click on the icon at the top, which looks like a little folder, and it says move. If you're in that document, I get that right now.
And you're in that document, there's a little icon that says move, or it doesn't say it, you got to hover over it. But if you can hover over it and you move it, then you can actually store it in whatever folder makes sense to you in your Google Drive. So that's the first thing that would help. So you are just organizing things in a way that makes sense to you. Now, the other way to do the same thing is if you click on that shared with me section on the left. So I'll give you a sec to go there. I would share my screen for this, but it's all like really private stuff and I don't want to.
I know, that's okay. Not.
So under that shared with me section, you'll see some documents there, right?
Yes.
So what you do there is if you see a document in that area that you want to sort of have access to later easily, you click once on it and then you click on the add to my drive. What's that icon look like? Add to my drive, it's called.
Where do you see that?
It's at the top row, up near the second row, actually.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Oh,
And then it says add to my drive.
Okay. Yes.
That's how you get it to be in your drive rather than in just the shared with me section.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those things that's like, in concept, Google was really smart. They said, well, we don't want everything that gets shared with you. You may not have requested that item. Like, you may not want that thing.
Yeah.
If it's just shared with you, like, who knows? It shouldn't count against your storage.
Yeah.
So they have this other area that doesn't count against your storage and doesn't go into your stuff because maybe you don't want it. But that does put the extra onus on you to remember, oh yeah, I have to organize this thing.
Yeah. I never move things into my drive. So that explains it.
I think so. And then of course, but then the other question you asked, which is when you create a new document, it's a similar, well, it's the problem is you got to know where you create it, which account and which folder in that account.
So, okay. So when I add something that someone had shared with me to my drive, do I then go into my drive and I should put it into, it doesn't go into a folder. It just goes into a general area, right? So
If
then
you,
organize it from there.
Yeah. So if you click that add to my drive, it just goes into the default area of my drive.
Yeah.
And then you have to,
But at least I can search for it in my drive and find it if I remember the word or who sent it.
Yeah.
But then if I am creating my own document, basically what I need to do is go to the email that I want it associated with.
And first you click on the icon in the top right and choose the account.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a way if I have created a document to switch it then, like say I created it in my personal account, but it was supposed to be for the Climate Coalition?
Yes. And I was actually going to say that, and you stole it from me. So what you do is you then share the document with that other email address, like you would with anybody else, but you share it with yourself. And when you do that, I think you can choose owner right there. You can specify that person. You can, let's see, what do? You say, how do you do that? You go in, can edit. Oh yeah, if that account is the owner, indeed the owner, then you can assign the owner to be someone else. Let me make sure I'm. So if I like, for example, added.
So I share it with myself.
Yeah, whatever other email you want it to be on.
Okay.
And then once that email is now in the list, this is it. And once that email is now in the list, you can click the drop down, the little like pencil icon.
Yeah.
And you can choose is owner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you're transferring ownership.
Love it.
And if you want, you can also go into that other account, go to that same document and remove the original email address.
Original me.
If you want to go, the original you, the other you.
Okay. Okay. This is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the trick. And this is perfect example of Google having like a million great features and just not nailing the user interface. Just confusing people.
Okay. I feel like I just need to dedicate some time to organizing what's in my drive too, because then.
Yes. So here's the final tip on that. An easy way to organize is if you download the Google, what's it called? Backup and sync application on your computer.
Okay.
Now, it's kind of a downside is you can only do this with one of your 5 accounts, but whichever one you use the most, you can download that app and then it becomes a folder on your computer in the Finder with all the documents and folders and everything are like literally kind of downloaded and synced to your computer.
Okay.
So whatever you do there, whether it's deleting a file or moving them into a different folder or creating whatever, you can do it right there in the Finder, which I prefer most of the time.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Okay. Thanks for that hot tip. If you were me and you had 5 email accounts, which you likely do, do you keep them all separate?
The way I do it, I have tons of emails and only 2 main Google accounts that I keep track of. I have my Gmail, which I don't actually use for email, and I have my Coalition account, which are both Google accounts. The way I do it is my Gmail is my central hub of all my Google stuff. And I actually forward any message that comes to that account, I forward to my work address, which is not a Google account.
Okay.
It makes it slightly complicated for me when someone does like an invite to my work email, justin@mattcog.com. Because I use the Gmail account as the Google Calendar. However, all I had to do to fix that was add my work email address to the Gmail account as an alternate email, and then invites that go to my work account get accepted into my regular Google Calendar. So I centralized them all that way, with the exception of the Coalition, which is the email is the Google account is the email.
Yeah.
And you can't separate them.
Yeah.
So if that's the case for all of your 5, they're like their emails and their Google accounts like automatically. The only thing you can do is, and what I would probably do is probably 2 or 3 of them don't have that much going on, I would guess.
Yeah.
So you could make a folder inside the Google Drive of one of those and then share that folder with your main one. Like your Gmail.
Okay. Yep.
Right. And so then when you go into your Gmail, you have everything that you have all of them, right? You have a folder for each.
Yeah.
The only downside with doing that is that you may run out of space in the Gmail account, but it's like $2 a month for 100 gigabytes. It's not a big deal.
Right.
It's probably worth saving some sanity that way.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna try and do that with one of mine now.
Just like collapse all those files into one folder and then share that folder.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. Thanks for being the tech pro.
You bet. My pleasure. This is a good one. Is it okay if I take this chunk and share it to our Slack so that other people can see?
Please. I'm like the poster child for bad Google Doc organization. So,
with Google overload. I'm going to call it the Google overload segment.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Justin.
Cool. You bet, Quinn. Take care. Bye.